This is the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, sponsored by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. If you're interested in the intersection of real estate, blockchain technology, AI, and more, you've come to the right place. Don't miss your opportunity to attend the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. Enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. I'm Michael Flight here with the Blockchain Real Estate Summit podcast, and I have got two of the most exciting guys in the tokenization space. These guys went out, they're making it happen. They're like world travelers, but the really coolest thing about Henri and Eni of T-Blocks, that's tblocks.io, is that they are in Albania, and most people in the United States, other people throughout the world know where Albania is, but most people in the United States have no idea where Albania is, and they have no idea how beautiful the country is, how great the coastline is, and it's right next to Greece, but you can get like everything less expensive than Greece, and the people are much nicer than the Greek people, but don't say that to the Greek people, because I know a lot of nice Greek people too. But without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Henri and Eni from T-Blocks. And guys, why don't you just first give us a little biographical information, what got you started, why you're interested in real estate, and why we want to do things on blockchain and tokenization.
Michael, thanks a lot to be meeting you again. First time it was Blockchain Real Estate Summit where Eni was a speaker on T-Block's behalf. Without further ado, I would just like to present myself briefly. I started this journey when I was 16 years old. I was like very passionate about innovation and technology. And I discovered Bitcoin, and then I discovered blockchain. I fell into the rabbit hole, and month after month, year after year, the more I learned, the more I understood the potential that this technology had to transform a lot of our industries, including finance, including real estate, which I later came across. But first it was blockchain and then financial markets. And for the past 8 years, I've been dealing mostly with digital asset ecosystems from decentralized finance, being very hands-on with that sector. Later on, I managed to be the consultant for the first Web3 startup in Albania, and that led me to really apply all my knowledge in the space, in the practical sense. Managed a team of 10 people, built the first community here, and gave a lot with educating and bringing awareness besides building some products. Later on, being like one of the leading voices of blockchain in the region, I also helped and advised the Albanian SEC, like the Albanian Financial Supervisory Authority, on their DLT law. And that gave me a lot of regulatory background into what actually needs to happen for blockchains and for finance to be transformed. It's not as easy as I thought when I was younger. And later in that journey, I also met Eni, which really complemented a lot of my skills. And really, we were in the same mindset and the same level, synchronized, when it came about what can blockchain do to emerging markets. And the more that we met and shared ideas, the more we started to see blockchain not only for the buzzword that some people look at it, but also what can this amazing technology be applied for some very real challenges and pain points that emerging markets have, which we focused on Albania and Balkans. And I'd say that I'm lucky that I was born here, because it's the right timing for us to be applying this technology, the next technology of finance, in this market.
It certainly is. Eni, would you like to give us a little information, and then we'll circle back because I've got some questions?
Sounds good. So, hi, everyone. Thank you, Michael, for this opportunity, and we're looking forward to the event, to the main event, I would say. So my name is Eni. I'm an entrepreneur. I've lived over 7 years in Tampa, St. Petersburg. I went to school there. I ran a dropshipping business for over 5 years. It was 2017, the year 2017, where I made some money from the business, and I wanted to invest in stocks. So I started looking in different websites like Robinhood back at the time, also some broker, and then there was a lot of traditional things coming up in front of me, which made me realize all the bureaucracies behind the traditional capital markets and some bureaucracies that were preventing me to invest directly into the stocks because I was not a US citizen. So shortly after that, I was introduced with digital assets. First three ones was Ripple, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. And I was like, wait, so I can log in into this platform, I can submit a KYC, and I can invest $10,000 and I can directly own these digital assets? Yes, it was that easy. So my journey started in 2017. I made a lot of money, lost a lot of money. I learned it the hard way. Basically, I got to understand how and what the blockchain technology can actually do. And in 2020, this is where I met Henri. It was a little bit before the pandemic, where we started COVID-19, where we started discovering or working on some different ideas on what would be the next business. Because basically, we were the only two voices, blockchain experts in the region, that actually knew everything as far as it took about blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the ecosystems, the DeFi, potential opportunities over there. We were also invited in the Albania's biggest TV show. This is in 2021. And this is how we came across the idea of T-Blocks. So basically, we created T-Blocks in the end of 2022. So as you started introduction of Albania, basically Albania shares the same coastline with Italy, Greece, and Croatia. So Greece is beautiful, by the way. I love Greece as well. Italy is even more beautiful, in my opinion. So, but if we forget about Italy and Greece, which are well developed under the European Union, we look at what happened in Croatia 2013, 2014, before they actually joined European Union. So the real estate prices, especially those by the sea, by the coastline, they went 5 to 10x because suddenly all the global investors, the European funds, banks, they had access investing in these projects and big real estate assets using the same regulatory framework as they were used to before, which is European regulatory framework. So Albania and most of the Balkan countries, which were a leader in tokenization, we are not in the European Union yet. So this is our mission is to connect European investors, professional investors, but then global investors, high net worth individuals from the Albanian and Balkan diaspora, which are all over, I'm sure you've heard of, you know, a lot of Albanians in US as well, to give them a fully compliant technology infrastructure, transparent, secure, to invest in high growth opportunities, in real world assets, in 5-star hotels, in green energy photovoltaic panel parks, fully compliant to European regulatory framework.
Well, let's take a step back and go over some of that stuff. So I'm going to address some of the things that Henri said. And what I like to describe the technology as is just like here in the United States, we started out with the phone system and everything's running on wires, and our stuff still is a little bit backwards because everything's running on wires, where I can go to Albania or Romania or some of these other places in Africa, everything's Wi-Fi all the time, you know, and it's less expensive. The, you know, communications are a little better and all the rest of it. And so I describe this as the next level for financial systems. So you guys are skipping all the stuff that we went through, I mean, because if you look at how a stock is traded, even in the United States, it touches so many different things. And then going back to what Eni said, he couldn't trade in stocks because the rest of the world can't trade in US stocks, but he could trade in crypto, and crypto trades 24/7. It gives you access to quote unquote investment opportunities. And what I think is going to do with blockchain is you're going to get better investable assets or different investable assets that can still give you a high growth number. And so I'm going to hit on what Eni said also. You guys in Albania are like the growth stocks of, you know, the stock market, because you can go and you can get, mired in Greece, or you can get mired in some of the, Italian property, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't have the same opportunity to get the 10x your value. Also, you don't have the same, you've got probably slightly less regulated situations, and you've got, less developed areas, so that it's more of
For sure.
a virgin coastline. And it's something that, it's just not overcrowded, but at the same time, as I said before, friendly people, family, type of stuff. And you guys also have, different areas too, not just the coastline, but,
For
different
sure. For
topography.
sure. We got mountains, we got lakes, rivers, everything you can think of. But going back a little bit, Michael, I appreciate all the talk. So the idea is that we usually compare what we're doing to Albania and the Balkan countries. We compare to how Africa leapfrogged from Ethernet to Wi-Fi directly.
Right.
So the same thing we're trying to do here in the region. We truly believe that through T-blocks, we can help also the Albanian government build a blockchain-based capital markets for everything to be traded, to be able to be purchased by not only Albanians, but the whole world. So the idea is that Albania has no capital markets, zero. There's one stock exchange who's been dormant. There's only been 1 or 2 or 3 maximum government bonds over there. Another interesting statistic is that the number from the Albanian bank, from the central bank, is that there's 18 billion euros of retail money sitting in the bank as we speak right now, but only half of that is already being used by banks to give out loans. The other half is just sitting there because it's way over the risk, measured risk of the banking system, let's say. So all this money is just sitting there and with no investment opportunities. So what we're building, this technology infrastructure, fully regulated, this will also be an opportunity for every retail investor, not now. Right now, we're going to be focused in the professional investors because about compliance and legal stuff that we can dive deeper into it if you like. But the vision is to democratize real estate, high premium, pre-vetted real estate projects. As I mentioned, only recently, we've had big names like Jared Kushner that's coming to invest $1 billion in a big island in Albania that is a virgin island. And if I show you the project, you'd be amazed. Maybe I can show it to you after this call. We have another one, which is from Saudi Arabia. There's some big firms that already are investing billions of dollars. And what we're trying to also make it happen for the real estate developers here local is that, hey, you have billions of dollars in the pipeline, big projects, but you do not have any financial alternative ways to access this capital. You can only go to the banks, get 5-10% from the bank, and then you'd be obligated to pre-sell the units. But what we can offer you as T-blocks through blockchain and DLT technology, we can offer you a gateway to global capital, to funds, to family offices. We can create investment structures for this type of product, and we can help you create a global profile into the European capital markets.
Sure. And as always, this podcast does not give legal advice. It does not give accounting advice. And everybody that's interested in doing this should first check with their attorney. Anybody that's interested in investing should also check with all their counselors and things and get excellent advice. But I do want to ask you a question. So the way I look at real estate and how I got into tokenized real estate is sound money. And since I don't do math and since I'm not as smart as you two guys, when I first heard about, Bitcoin in 2014 and 2015, I'm like, why would you do that? There's nothing backing it. It's just like a computer program and you have to depend on the computer program. Why wouldn't you back it with like real estate or gold? And so that's what I had like constantly percolating in the back of my mind. And so when we decided to launch Liberty Fund, what I really wanted to do was create, a store of value so that people with unsound money what do people in emerging markets do where they have, lots of inflation, they have banks that they don't trust? Well, they go out, and if they own a house and they have money, then they go out and buy another house. And so they put their money into real estate. But like, what if you could put your money into real estate that you also had flexibility, that you didn't have to hold it for the rest of your life, and you didn't have to have it stuck in the same geography, where your house is? So the question is, and that's a long thing about, if somebody is not from Albania, do they have to be an accredited investor, or can non-Albanians be non-accredited investors and invest smaller amounts of money in projects?
So for the moment, like our goal, as Eni said, is to democratize all the access to this region to everyone regarding their income. Because we believe that real estate is the safest asset class, and we believe that it's a very good source of value. But for the first year or two, in our strategy, we want to make this accessible to accredited investors, because it's easier for compliance at this stage, where we see how US is tackling regulations with tokenization, or how Europe is tackling the regulation with tokenization. So we see that it's more safe to attract it from the accredited investor point of view. But as you said, Michael, our vision is to really make this accessible to everyone, and to connect these secluded regions, these secluded markets, with each other through this global shared distributed financial system.
Yeah, and I agree with you so much. I mean, that's what I'm saying, playing off of what Eni was saying, where he could only invest in crypto, and especially with the meme coins and a lot of that stuff, it's not even gambling. At some point, it's just craziness, because they just shoot up and then they, just go down to zero. And so what I was interested in was giving somebody, and I think what you guys are also interested in, is giving somebody something that they can actually own. They get an ownership share of real estate, which I think is the game changer if you could make that accessible. One of the problems I have with the SEC regulations is that here in the United States, you can go out and buy a lotto ticket, and every state sells lotto tickets. So the government sells lotto tickets, which is basically gambling. You have almost no hope of winning that. But they put, financial restrictions on what you can invest your money in. So I just think that people should be free, especially, people that don't have as much money should be free to invest in real estate. And it's really hard if you're, not a person of means. So anyways, I'm not, saying, anything negative about regulations. What I'm saying is that things should be opened up to a lot more people to invest in real estate and have the benefits of real estate. So, and
financial inclusion. I agree with you.
Yeah, and I love what you guys are doing with that.
Yeah, definitely. We believe in democratization of access. We believe in financial inclusion. I mean, the first major cryptocurrency, the same as you, Michael, we've spoken before, Bitcoin, and the whole narrative about that is an opportunity for those 4 billion people in emerging economies with no access to banks to actually hold and own a form of money. So we truly believe in that. In this case, it's not going to be that decentralized. So we cannot claim that this is a decentralized way to get into real estate. But what we believe is that through the blockchain technology, we can make the process much more efficient. We can lower down the cost drastically. And through the creation of digital assets based on a specific real estate asset, let's say a 5-star hotel by the sea. We've spoken to a lot of diaspora, high net worth diaspora investors, and they didn't get it at first. And what we told them is that you go to the south, Michael, by the way, you're going to come to the south of Albania no matter what. And you need to see how it's developing right there, because I think in the next 10 years, there's not going to be any more opportunities. In my opinion, it's going to be like Miami.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to complain about you guys because Henri was in Chicago for 4 days and didn't even visit me. So if I go to Albania, I'm not sure I'm going to visit him.
That's fair. That's fair. But we can go eat dinner together.
Don't visit me, but go and visit Eni.
So the idea, Michael, we started telling them that, hey, you go to the south of Albania, to the crystal clear beaches of Albania. To all those who are listening to us, please Google it. Albanian Riviera, that's it. They go visit it every year. And imagine going to a 5-star hotel, actually staying holidays with your wife and kids, and also being a co-owner of that hotel, whether it's 1%, whether it's 0.1%, that's of course up to them. But just the idea that they can be co-shareholders, or they could be profit participation, they could have profit participation rights on a business model ran by the biggest developers, because this is another thing we're focused on. We're focused to collaborate with the biggest developers there are in the country. So to minimize risk at first, we're talking to them who have already built billions of dollars, who already have companies outside of the Balkans region, who have a presence, somewhat presence in Europe, in US, in Asia, but they're new to tokenization. And by the way, to all of them that we have been presenting T-blocks for now for more than a year, and to some of them that we're currently collaborating with, they love the idea of a global investor base accessing their assets, to invest in their assets through a fully compliant and secure digital infrastructure, which is what T-blocks is providing.
Very nice. And so just to reiterate, you want people to Google the Albanian Riviera, and they'll get all kinds of shots of the deep blue Aegean Sea and all kinds of other things. But I want to, kind of push back on you when we're talking about financial inclusion. The way I see Bitcoin moving right now is Bitcoin originally started out as a payment system, and so that everybody could transact anywhere in the world and you wouldn't need an intermediary. And now they've kind of changed it so that it's digital gold. And so somebody that wants to hold their savings in Bitcoin, they have to have a lot of money because there's transaction fees. And the other problem with Bitcoin, and so this is just not a rant on Bitcoin, but it's a rant on crypto in general, is that there's so much volatility. How can you keep your money in that? Because I'll give you an example. My kids have already gone through college, but I was doing college savings. And at the time when they were ready to go into college, 4 years before, the financial crash happened in 2007, 2008, 2009. So I had all this money saved for college that then went down, dropped by 60%. So when you actually need the savings, you don't want to depend on the volatility of stocks. You don't want to depend on the volatility of, crypto. What you want to save your money in is something that's not only going to give you cash flow, but it's going to give you steady appreciation. Real estate can go down, and we're seeing that in the United States now. But most of the problem with the real estate in the United States is financial structuring right now. There's nothing inherently wrong with any of the real estate, except for offices. There'll probably be a lot less offices, and so you'll see a structural change there. But I don't think there's going to be a structural change for resorts. I see resorts and travel just expanding a lot, especially in unique areas where people can get value for their money. So I'm really excited for you guys. Is there anything else you guys want to talk a little bit about? Because I know you've got the marketplace and the app opening up soon. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, we just did a pre-launch of the T-blocks marketplace. To all the visitors, they could go to apps.tblocks.io.
That's apps.tblocks.io, and we're going to have all this in the show notes so that people can find it, and we'll have links to it too. So that's apps.tblocks.io. Is that correct, Eni?
app.tblocks.io.
Okay, perfect. And so I apologize for interrupting you. Why don't you go back to what you were in the middle of explaining?
So the idea is that right now we're working, as I mentioned, with reputable real estate developers listing their assets on the marketplace. At the same time, we're doing what we believe is the most important thing for all tokenization companies, all RWA companies, which is building an ecosystem of partners to actually help each other. Because what we see is that, so for example, we partnered with a lot of tokenization companies who basically do the same thing what we do, but they do it in Germany, they do it in France, they do it in US. At some point in the long term, maybe 10, 15 years, we could be competitors with them, even though the real estate asset class is so big, over 300 trillion. But what we believe is that right now it's not about competition, but it's about completion. So we're partnering with a lot of different companies to distribute deals together. Basically, we got assets being tokenized. We need their help for distribution, for investor exposure. The same thing goes to us. So this is one of the main things we're working on, which is the demand side, forming different partnerships. Of course, working with them, also building relationships with funds, with family offices who'd love to invest in emerging economies, specifically Albania and the Balkans, because that's what represent just a small percentage of their portfolio. So similar to what you mentioned about investing in Bitcoin, but the volatility and all of that, I mean, me and Henry, we're both crypto people. So most likely, I don't want to say the percentage of the net worth we have in crypto, but you guys can assume. But we understand that there's a lot of volatility. So what this is not financial advice, but in my opinion, what everyone should be doing, which the top are always doing, is diversifying their portfolio. So we're talking to investment office, to investment funds, the family offices, and they're very interested to invest from 0.5 to 2% of their portfolio in high growth opportunities in this region, where they see there's major infrastructure developments, there are new airports. I mean, if you look at Greece, Michael, if you look at the real estate prices in Greece compared to Albania, to the coastline, let's say premium investment opportunities, Greece is from 2 to 4x what the actual prices are in Albania. So these are great opportunities, but hey, Greece is in Europe, Albania is not. So the risk opportunity is there.
It's all Europe to me, but
and I would say another thing, Michael.
It's just separated by a border. So, but that brings me back to a question. The listings that you think you're going to have and that you do have on the platform, are they going to be new development, or are they going to be cash flowing previously and already developed type of things? Or, you know, what's your ideal listing? Or let me know, what you're looking to put together in the marketplace.
So right now, as Eni mentioned, the app is live, and what we expect from the users that want to visit T-Blocks marketplace is that they can browse the 4 deals that we have for the moment, and they can read all the documentation that we have provided in collaboration with our developers, and they can express the interest. Now, for the first 2 or 3 projects, we aim to only offer a bond, like a loan for the developers, because those are new developments. And it's our specific focus to choose and to select new developments, because 1, they are more attractive, and 2, we are selecting them based on the future demand that we see, the future standards that we want them to be built upon. For example, one of the assets that we have is a 5-star resort in south of Albania, in the Albanian Riviera, just 2 kilometers away from Kushner's announced plans. And that's a 5-star resort that will be managed by a very international brand. I'm not going to mention the name for the moment. And the developer, they are invested in both versions, like equity and bond, but it's in our choice, we'll be only focusing on bonds. We will have like attractive yield growth. And the other asset that it's very...
Can I stop right there? So the bond is going to be a cash flow instrument. So if somebody buys the token, they will be receiving, does the bond pay quarterly or?
Bi-yearly or yearly.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's a cash flow instrument. does it have a participation? Is it a convertible note, or is it a bond, and it's primarily a debt instrument that the tokens will be?
It's primarily a bond for the moment. We have spoken about this way of converting the loan into equity with the developers. And for them, it's a bit new. So we are just starting with things that they understand and things that they know that they can manage.
Right.
So
No, I'm not being critical. I'm just
yeah.
trying to understand, because there's one of the hard things about investing in real estate is you've got probably 20 different asset classes. So you can invest in a resort, you can invest in a shopping center, you can invest in apartment buildings and stuff, but you also have different types of what they call capital stack, and different types of financing. So somebody, sometimes might just want cash flow. And so like we have a debt fund, so they can invest and they'll just get interest, and the interest will be paid on a periodic basis. Other people want the appreciation and the equity growth. So that's why I'm kind of try to figure out the platform. How are you guys trying to put together that mix?
Yeah, I mean, just another. So we have started to create T-blocks from the supply side. So it was the competitive edge that we have. It was having access to these developers and understanding their needs. So we started dealing with the supply side, understanding their needs, and then making an offering based on the project developer pains and challenges. But it can also work on the other side, as you mentioned. So if as long as we are building and we're expanding our ecosystem, the more asset investors, the more groups that want to have access in this economy, if like we have conversations with them and they would like a certain type of instrument, then it's nothing. Like we can do the same thing. We can represent their side, basically see if there is a fit with the current pipeline or the future pipeline in the region.
Right. Perfect.
Just one thing to add, Michael, to that. So the idea is that we touched this a little bit earlier about the legal challenges, and this is the main reason why it's a little bit harder and more challenging at the early stage to go out with equity. But just also for the audience to know, we're already working on a solution with our legal attorneys and partners to be able to tokenize a part of the hotel in full equity, because we are in contact with some investors who would like to invest in a tokenized equity structure into this high reputable international brand that's going to be built over there. Back to your question, yes, it's mainly new developments, but we're also onboarding one of the biggest developers in the region who already has some green energy parks already running, generating cash flow. And what we are trying to work out with him is the potential opportunity that he could make a small exit from his current investment, and by tokenizing a portion of his already running green energy photovoltaic park in the form of equity.
Can you explain what the green energy parks are and how they operate and how they generate cash flow?
So it's basically a solar photovoltaic panel park. It's around this one that we're talking about is around 50 megawatts. Which has been built by some very international, very high reputable international partners in partnership with a local developer over here. Basically, they generate energy. They have PPAs. They have purchased power purchase agreements with the government, which gives them a guaranteed return for a 20-year period, no matter what happens. It's less risky than those selling on the open market, but since the infrastructure for actually selling this green energy is already being constructed in the region, everybody is working with the government, but that may change as well.
I should introduce my partner, Courtney. She does oil and gas deals, and those things are just cranking right now. So she, I think it was within 6 months they had their first payout, and it was like $1 million payout. So
for what
oil
kind
and
of
gas
investment?
is still alive. So
yeah, for sure. As much as they try to come out with this ESG electronic cars, I mean, for at least 10 years, I see it very hard to move away from oil and gas.
Well, I'm telling you, we will never. And I'm just making the statement right now. I won't be alive in 100 years, but the entire world is built on plastics. From gas, we get nitrogen for, creating fertilizer and stuff. So you're not going to eliminate that. And the other thing I like to tell people is that we not only are made out of carbon, but we breathe carbon, and trees love carbon. So anyway, I think that, good thing is getting a good mix of stuff. So like I said, I'll talk to Courtney. Maybe we guys can get you some oil and gas projects too up there. The family offices love that stuff.
Sounds good.
So with that, we're looking to wrap it up, guys. Is there anything else that you wanted to add?
Definitely tblocks.io. You mentioned my name is Eni. You can find me on LinkedIn. Henri, you can find Henri as well as on LinkedIn. We're very active on LinkedIn. That's the main social media we use because we believe it's more professional, especially considering that we are working with institutional professional investors and partners. Other than that, Michael, thank you. I think we're blessed. We met a year ago. Your expertise, we've had some very interesting calls. You did give us a lot of good ideas about the real estate because, hey, we're only two young guys. We're trying to innovate the Albanian and Balkan countries' capital markets, introducing blockchain and DLT. But when it comes to real estate, we are lucky to have you as one of the mentors into the real estate industry and helping us with some ideas.
Eni, I'm just an old real estate dog that learned a little bit about technology along the way. So, but the other thing I would like to reiterate is it's tblocks.io and then your Tblocks app. That's all going to be in the things. You guys also have a YouTube channel where you talk crypto. Am I correct? Or
we used to have a podcast, Crypto Friends podcast, but not anymore. That was that 2-year period where we were trying to build a reputation in the market. Okay. Now we're focused.
Okay, focus completely on Tblocks. But if anybody wants to see the bona fides of these guys in the crypto world, look them up on their YouTube. Look them up on LinkedIn. With that, we will be wrapping it up. They will be at the blockchain real estate summit this September 24th through the 26th. And we'll be highlighting some of the exciting projects that they're doing, along with some of the exciting projects and all kinds of new technology and things going on in the world. The blockchain real estate summit, again, is going to be for 3 days. It's going to feature Europe, Asia, Latin America, and the Americas. So with that, I truly thank both you, Henri, and both you, Eni, for stopping by, explaining a little bit about the beautiful country of Albania, telling people that they should open up their investment horizons because they just might catch a shining shooting star in Albania. And we wish you the best with the launch of Tblocks this week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, hosted by the Blockchain Real Estate Summit. Don't forget to sign up for the Blockchain Real Estate Summit 2024, happening this September 24th through 26th, online for our worldwide audience. Get your tickets at blockchainrealestatesummit.com/registration. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to follow the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast on your favorite platform and leave us a review. Your feedback really helps increase the visibility of our show, allowing us to reach more listeners like you. If you have someone in mind you would like us to interview, you can go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com and leave a comment.
Hi, this is Adam Carswell, the voice of Liberty. This podcast is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to provide tax, legal, investment, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, accounting, or investment advisors before engaging in any transaction or undertaking. Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, which is a part of the Blockchain Real Estate Summit Network. Go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com for more information, free reports, and giveaways with free stuff. Thank you.